In our current situation, we're all at home trying to help our kids continue their education. And whether you plan on continuing your homeschooling journey or plan to have your child return to a brick and mortar school, one thing remains true. They must be able to communicate in written English. If anything, this current shutdown situation has emphasized the importance of written communication. Every day, your child, by necessity, is communicating through the written word. Even if they're on video, they're in the chat. They're texting their friends. They're sending emails. That's just the start. Perhaps they've discovered the importance of crafting a clear message. It only takes a time or two of miscommunication, of having your friends' feelings hurt because they misunderstood your words, before you start thinking about how you're putting those words together. This has probably happened to you too. I know it's happened to me. I think I've said something, I think I've been clear, and the message was misinterpreted. The communication broke down somewhere. Words matter. The written communication matters. And it is possible to help your child learn to communicate well in written English. But what if they're not motivated? What if they feel like learning how to write is too hard? It will take forever. And what I'm doing right now isn't that bad. You know the saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink? Let's take that analogy one step further. What if it's the water that's the issue? So you can bring the horse there, but it's the water they don't want. You can get your kid to the table to write, but what they're writing is the problem. Maybe it's that water that's not motivating. And so, because you like, say, apple juice or coffee, you swap out the water for the thing that you like, thinking that, well, if it's motivating for me, it might be motivating for them. Maybe you would be motivated, but your child will still be stalling, still miscommunicating, still held back by poor written communication skills. So you pull out your phone and you head over to Pinterest, because that's where all the good ideas are. And the next thing you know, you're laminating charts and buying stickers. I know they're almost teens, but still, we try. But the only change is a reduced bank account and resentment about the time that you spent on this beautiful, motivating system that should work. People said it was going to work. It worked for them. But it didn't work for your child. I won't ask you to raise your hand if you've ever done that, because people around you might look at you kind of funny if all of a sudden your arm shoots in the air. When we're solving the issue of motivation, we've got to put ourselves in our kids' shoes. What drives them? What do they talk about all the time? What do they do just because they want to? What are they motivated to get up early for? That's what you want to put in the trough, so to speak. Lead them to that, and they'll willingly drink. Now, I know we need to do tough things. We need to do things that we don't want to do some of the time. That is a reality of life. However, when we're trying to help our kids learn how to communicate through written English, we need to start somewhere that they're actually going to get started and start writing something. And then we can worry about those other things later on. Well, it seems like a dream. You might be thinking, my child will never be intrinsically motivated. I mean, I have trouble being intrinsically motivated. Well, here are 3 categories of sort of external motivators that will help you on this path to getting them to want to write eventually. First of all, there's the hard deadline. Being motivated by the reward of attending something. So there is a basketball game in 2 weeks. We need to have this much writing done, then we can attend the game. There's a hard deadline for that game. It's occurring on a certain day. So either you have it done or you don't, and then you either attend or you don't. Usually you only have to use this kind of hard deadline thing once. And then they realize, oh, this is important enough that my parent is putting their foot down. They're saying, oh, I really can't go to this if I don't have that done. That's that important. Hard to do, worth it. Like I said, you'll probably only have to do it once. Then, secondly, there's positive peer pressure. Are there kids that your kid knows that are good at writing or that enjoy writing that they could get together with? Maybe they're going to share their writing. And so you want to put your best foot forward, and so you put some effort in. This is this positive peer pressure. Now note, we're not comparing and saying, oh, look it, my friend's kid has all these writing skills, therefore you should too. We're not saying that. We're saying, hey, why don't we get together? You guys can share your writing and see what kind of ideas you have. And then your child will notice the differences. And it's not to say that the other child can't learn from your child too. So we want this positive peer pressure. And the third thing is accountability. If you tell somebody you're going to have something done by a certain time, you're going to lose face if it's not done by that time. So have that accountability. Or perhaps, like Summit students, they have a deadline for their assignment. They're accountable to somebody else for getting that done. So now, we've got them on course. They're actually writing. They've either got hard deadlines, positive peer pressure, or they're accountable to somebody, or a combination of all of those. Now we need to celebrate. And we want to celebrate early and often. Success looks different for every child. It will look different for each of your kids. If you've got a bunch of kids, success looks different for each of them. And you want to celebrate in a way that is significant to a particular child. We want to acknowledge progress. So if your child is having trouble writing anything at all, the first celebration is we've started writing and we're writing now 3 days a week. It doesn't matter what it is, we're writing 3 days a week. Woo! Celebrate. And then you start working in some more complex tasks. So perhaps we're thinking about ideas or about grammar or about sentence structure or punctuation, whatever it is, specific skills, and you can celebrate the progress on each of those. Now, game makers, they know that people do what gets acknowledged, and you keep doing what gets acknowledged. That's why kids, and not just kids, are driven to keep going because they want the badge, right? So we want to get it so that your child will write, they get acknowledged. There's that little bing of happiness where you go, I did it. Whatever it is, it needs to make sense for your child and that writing journey that they are on. It is almost impossible to over-celebrate milestones. As long as there's some work that's required, we don't give out awards just because. We don't acknowledge achievements that aren't actually achievements. Your child needs to genuinely put in some work, but then celebrate that, acknowledge that, even if it's tiny bits. Over time, you'll find that the satisfaction of learning and mastering a new skill is part of the reward itself. Maybe you've discovered this too, as you've developed a new habit and it's really hard and you've stuck with it. Perhaps exercise. You start out and you think, oh my goodness, I just have to do this. I just have to do this. I just have to do this. And over time, oh, I'm doing this because I feel good. And then you want to keep doing it because of that, not because you feel like, oh, I have to do this. It's torture. So how can we create an environment that both inspires and motivates and celebrates milestones? What kind of environment or situation motivates your child? How can you celebrate milestones in a way that is meaningful for your child? I'd love to hear your ideas. Please feel free to put them in the comments, send me an email, whatever you'd like to do. Let's continue this discussion. Let's celebrate those milestones and help our kids communicate clearly.